Ladies and gentlemen, let me hit you with a truth most people avoid. Not everyone is meant to go where you're headed. Read that again. There are people in your life right now, people you love, people you've fought for, people you've bent over backward to please, who are not supposed to come with you into the next chapter. And the longer you keep dragging them along, the longer you delay your growth, your peace, and your freedom. You want to evolve, then let them go. Let go of the ex who couldn't love you right. Let go of the friend who only shows up when they need something. Let go of the people who criticize your dreams, gaslight your value, and shrink your light just so they can feel bigger around you. You are not responsible for making people comfortable with your growth. You want a real transformation, then stop trying to get people to understand your worth. Stop begging for closure, for validation, for someone to see what you already know about yourself. That's not their job, that's yours. Listen, I get it. Letting go is hard. We're wired to cling, to hope, to people, to memories, to potential. But the longer you stay stuck in the why did they and the what ifs, the more you miss the beauty of what's right in front of you. You and your next step. You and your new chapter. You and your power. Letting go is not giving up. It's choosing peace over drama. It's choosing growth over guilt. It's choosing yourself, fully, unapologetically, without looking back. You don't need their apology. You don't need their permission. You don't need them to finally admit they were wrong or tell you you were right. What you need is a decision that you matter more than their silence, that you matter more than their opinions, that you matter enough to stop waiting and start healing. Because focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. When you turn your attention inward, when you stop obsessing over people who walked away and start investing in the person you're becoming, that's when the magic happens. That's when clarity shows up. That's when energy comes back. That's when life stops feeling so damn heavy. Let me ask you, how much longer are you going to make your peace dependent on other people? How many more nights will you spend replaying a conversation that's already over? How many times will you shrink just to fit into someone else's small version of you? You are not here to chase people. You are here to chase purpose. You are not here to fix broken relationships. You are here to build an unbreakable spirit. You are not here to wait for them to come around. You are here to rise, even if it means rising alone. And here's the truth no one talks about. Sometimes you don't get closure. Sometimes people leave and they never look back. Sometimes people hurt you and they never say sorry, and you still have to get up. You still have to breathe. You still have to rise, not because it's fair, but because it's yours, your life, your path. Your choice. Stop checking their page. Stop waiting for their text. Stop hoping they'll finally act right. They made their decision. Now it's time for you to make yours. Focus on yourself. Pour into your goals. Invest in your healing. Rediscover your joy. That's how you take your power back. That's how you go from surviving to thriving. Let them go. Let go of the need to be understood by everyone. Let go of the guilt that isn't yours. Let go of the attachment to people who don't choose you. Let go of the version of you that kept settling just to feel loved. Because the moment you do, you make space for better energy, better people. Better love, better you. The only person who needs to understand your worth is you. The only validation you need is your own. The only one responsible for your peace is you. So today, choose you, not because they're bad. Not because they don't deserve grace, but because you deserve peace. You deserve healing. You deserve a life that feels light and true and free. Let them go and watch yourself rise. They left, they disappeared. Maybe they ghosted you. Maybe they betrayed you. Maybe they slowly faded from your life without an explanation, and now there's a part of you stuck, paralyzed, waiting for closure. You replay every conversation. You reread every message. You wonder what went wrong, what you did, what you didn't do. But here's the truth. Closure isn't something they give you. Closure is a decision you make. Healing is not about their apology. Healing is about choosing yourself even when they won't. Every time you wait for someone else to acknowledge your pain, you give away your power. You make your growth, your peace, your healing, dependent on the emotional maturity of someone who already showed you they weren't capable of honoring you. That's not strength. That's self-abandonment disguised as patience. And you don't need to keep doing it. You're not broken because they left. You're not unworthy because they stopped choosing you. Their decision does not define your value. It defines them. It defines where they are in their journey, what they are or aren't able to hold, and what kind of connection they are or aren't able to show up for. And yes, it hurts deeply, but their silence doesn't mean you aren't enough. Their departure doesn't mean you're too much. It just means they weren't your people, and that's okay. You get to release them. You get to say, this is not a reflection of my worth. This is a redirection to something better. You get to stop digging through the past for answers that won't change your future. You get to stop romanticizing a relationship that didn't see you, didn't hear you, didn't hold you the way you needed. You get to take the energy you're pouring into them and invest it back into you. What if you stopped asking why they left and started asking what this is making space for? What if the unanswered questions were actually invitations to grow, to evolve, to reclaim your peace? You don't need them to come back and make things right. You don't need them to explain why they changed. You don't need to understand every detail of what went wrong. What you need is to come home to yourself. You need to stand in front of the mirror, look yourself in the eyes and say, I'm choosing me this time. You are not weak for wanting connection. You're human. But the most powerful connection you'll ever build is the one you build with yourself. That's where your healing begins. That's where your power is reborn. That's where your peace takes root. Not in the apology they never gave you, but in the moment you stop needing it. You don't move on by pretending it didn't hurt. You move on by acknowledging the pain and loving yourself enough to walk through it. You give yourself the validation you were begging for. You say the words you wished they would have said. You are worthy. You are enough. You are lovable even when they couldn't see it. That's how you heal. That's how you break the cycle. That's how you stop repeating patterns where your worth is measured by someone else's ability to show up. Maybe you were the one who always gave more. Maybe you bent until you broke, trying to earn love that should have been freely given. Maybe you believed that if you were just a little more patient, more forgiving, more understanding, then they'd stay. But love built on conditions is not love. It's control, it's fear, it's manipulation. And you don't need to carry that anymore. You can grieve the connection without reopening the door. You can honor the memories without returning to a place that drained you. You can choose yourself without needing to prove anything to them. Because healing isn't about forgetting, it's about remembering who you are. Without the lens of their rejection distorting your vision, you are not here to chase, you are here to attract, you are not here to shrink. You are here to shine, and the more you focus on your own growth, the more you draw in people who are aligned with your values, your boundaries, your vision. So let them go, with love, with grace, with finality. Let them be a lesson, not a life sentence. Let the silence be your teacher. Let the loss be your liberation. You don't need their closure. You are your closure. You are your decision. You are your next step. And trust me, the moment you decide to stop waiting for someone to heal you, that's the moment everything begins to shift. The weight lifts, the fog clears, the future opens up. Because when you stop needing them to make it right, you finally make it right for yourself. And that's the beginning of your transformation. Every time you choose to put yourself last, every time you silence your own needs to keep someone else comfortable, you chip away at your own potential. And let's get one thing straight. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you finally realize that your life deserves your full attention. It means you're done living on autopilot, done sacrificing your peace for people who wouldn't flinch to disrupt it, and done delaying your healing because you're afraid of what it looks like to stand alone. Somewhere along the line, we got this toxic idea that prioritizing your own well-being is self-centered, that if you don't say yes to everyone, you're rude, that if you stop explaining yourself, you're arrogant, that if you take time for yourself, you're lazy. But let me ask you, how's that been working for you? How has people-pleasing built your dream life? How has overextending yourself healed the burnout? How has ignoring your needs improved your relationships? Exactly, it hasn't, because the truth is, when you don't focus on yourself, nothing else works. You can't pour into your goals with an empty tank. You can't show up for your family if you're disconnected from your own spirit. You can't build anything that lasts when you keep building on top of burnout, resentment, and self-abandonment. You need to become the priority. You need to check in with yourself the way you check in on everyone else. You need to love yourself the way you've tried to love people who didn't deserve it. When you focus on yourself, everything changes, not because life suddenly gets easier, but because you get clearer. You stop tolerating things that drain you. You stop waiting for permission to take up space. You stop seeking validation in places where it's never been offered. You start doing things not to impress people, but to become the person you know you're meant to be. And that shift, it changes everything. You wake up with more intention. You move through your day with more confidence. You make decisions that are rooted in your values instead of your fears. You begin to realize that the way people treat you is often a reflection of how you've been treating yourself. That the more you respect your time, your energy, your boundaries, the more others will too. But here's the real kicker. When you start focusing on yourself, not everyone's going to like it. Some people will call you distant. Some will say you've changed, and they're right. You have asterisk, because growth threatens people who benefit from your stagnation. Because when you stop playing small, it exposes just how convenient your silence was for them, and that's not your problem. That's their discomfort with your evolution. Let them sit in it. You've got things to build. You've got healing to do. This isn't about becoming selfish. It's about becoming deeply aligned with your purpose, your peace, and your self-worth, that you stop outsourcing your power to people who never deserve to hold it. You stop negotiating your value. You stop justifying your decisions. You stop apologizing for taking care of yourself. You start asking different questions. What do I need today? What energizes me? What drains me? What am I holding on to that I need to release? What am I no longer willing to tolerate just to make others feel comfortable? You start making time for the things that matter. Reading the book, taking the walk, saying no to the invite, journaling, moving your body, fueling your mind. You start keeping the promises you make to yourself. You stop breaking your own heart by abandoning yourself for the approval of people who wouldn't notice your absence. And suddenly, life starts to shift. Not because the chaos goes away, but because you're different in the middle of it. You're grounded, you're anchored, you're centered in a way that makes you unshakable. You can feel the pull to overextend, but you choose stillness. You feel the urge to explain yourself, but you choose silence. You feel the fear of being misunderstood, but you choose alignment. Because when you focus on yourself, you stop chasing clarity in the external world. You find it within. You stop searching for love in empty places. You give it to yourself. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You realize you've been the answer all along. This isn't a one-time choice. It's a daily practice, a daily decision to come home to yourself again and again, even when the world tries to pull you away, even when the noise gets loud, even when people try to guilt you back into old patterns. You stay rooted, you stay focused, you stay loyal to your growth, and no, it's not always glamorous. Some days, focusing on yourself means making hard decisions, cutting off the friendship, quitting the job, saying goodbye to the relationship you outgrew. But on the other side of that pain is peace, is power, is freedom. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. It's time. Time to stop dimming your light. Time to stop ignoring your own needs. Time to stop betraying yourself for scraps of attention. It's time to come home to you, focus on yourself, not because it's trendy, not because it sounds good on social media, but because you deserve a life that feels like yours, and the only way to build that life is to make you the foundation. Letting go is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. It's not just about walking away. It's about detaching from a version of your life you once believed in. It's about releasing expectations, rewriting stories, and coming to terms with the fact that closure isn't always clean or complete. And that's why it's so brave. Not because it's easy, but because it requires strength to step into the unknown without clinging to what no longer fits. We often think that holding on is a sign of strength. That if we try a little harder, wait a little longer, give a little more, things will eventually work out. But that mindset keeps you trapped in cycles that drain your energy, your confidence, and your joy. The truth is, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away, not because you gave up, but because you finally remembered your worth. Letting go doesn't mean you're bitter. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've chosen yourself in a world that keeps telling you to settle for less. It means you've stopped glorifying struggle and started honoring peace. And that kind of decision changes everything. You can't grow if you keep holding on to things that hurt you. You can't evolve if your hands are full of what no longer serves you. And you can't move forward if you're still tied to people, patterns, or pain that keep pulling you backward. You deserve more than that. You deserve freedom. You deserve clarity. You deserve to breathe again. But here's what no one tells you. Letting go doesn't always look like a dramatic goodbye. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's a slow process, 1,000 tiny decisions you make every single day to stop giving energy to something that no longer deserves it. It's choosing not to respond. It's unfollowing the account. It's deleting the number. It's letting the memory float by without attaching your identity to it. And it hurts, oh, it hurts, because we are wired to attach, to hope, to believe that things can be different. But holding on to false hope is a form of self-betrayal. It's pretending that something still has potential when deep down, you know it's already gone. When you let go, you make space for healing, space for growth, space for the version of you that's waiting underneath all that weight. Because every time you cling to what no longer fits, you delay the arrival of what's meant for you. You block the blessings. You keep yourself stuck in a story that's already ended. Think about how many times you've said, maybe if I just explain better, maybe if I just wait longer, maybe if I just love harder. And every maybe takes you further from your truth. Every maybe is another day spent in limbo, another ounce of energy drained from your soul. Letting go is about reclaiming that energy. It's saying, I've tried, I've shown up, I've done my part, and now it's time to release what isn't mine to carry. You're not responsible for fixing what someone else broke. You're not responsible for carrying relationships on your back. You're not responsible for making it work when you're the only one trying. You have permission to stop trying. You have permission to walk away from things that used to make sense but no longer align with who you are. You have permission to grieve the version of your life you thought you were building, because on the other side of that grief is rebirth, is possibility, is peace. The world will try to convince you that letting go is failure, that quitting is weakness, but you know what's truly weak. Staying in something toxic because you're afraid of being alone. Holding on to something dead because you don't know who you are without it. That's not strength, that's survival, and you're not here to just survive, you're here to thrive. Letting go is choosing yourself. It's choosing to believe that what's ahead of you is more important than what's behind you. That the person you're becoming is worth fighting for. That the love, peace, and purpose you deserve is only possible if you're willing to release what's no longer aligned with that vision. And yes, you're going to have moments where it feels like you made the wrong decision. You'll miss them, you'll question everything, you'll wonder if it was really that bad, but don't confuse comfort with connection. Don't mistake history for happiness. Just because you've been through a lot with someone doesn't mean you're meant to stay stuck with them. You have a future to step into, a calling to rise to, a life to build, and that future requires you to be bold. It requires you to be honest about what's holding you back. And it requires you to be brave enough to walk away from anything that keeps you small. So when your heart feels heavy, when the silence feels deafening, when the space you created by letting go feels lonely, remember this: you didn't let go to be alone. You let go to come home to yourself. And that home, that peace, that freedom, it was always waiting for you. You just had to stop carrying what wasn't yours. When people walk away from you, friends, partners, coworkers, even family, it can feel like a punch to the chest. Like something essential has been torn out of your life, and you're left with the silence of a connection that no longer exists. The human instinct is to chase, to reach out, to fix it, to make it right. But here's the hard truth: not everyone is meant to stay, and when someone leaves, the best thing you can do is let them go. Let them ignore your calls. Let them watch your stories but never respond to your texts. Let them pretend like the memories didn't happen. Let them move on while you're still standing in the wreckage. Let them, because the longer you try to hold onto people who are no longer choosing you, the more you abandon the one person who actually matters most in this life, you. Letting them go is not giving up on them. It's choosing not to give up on yourself. It's recognizing that love doesn't mean suffering. It doesn't mean proving your worth. It doesn't mean being in a constant state of anxiety, wondering if you said too much, did too little, or took up too much space. Love, real love, holds you with care. It sees you, it hears you, and it doesn't walk away without a word. So when they leave you wondering what happened, wondering if you were ever enough, let that be your sign. Not that you weren't lovable, not that you need to be more, but that you were always too much for someone who didn't know how to hold something real. It's time to stop making excuses for people who disappear when it's inconvenient. It's time to stop romanticizing the ones who couldn't even meet you halfway. You deserve people who stay, who show up, who communicate, who grow with you instead of making you feel like you're too hard to love. And listen, I know this part sucks: the silence, the memories, the urge to text them just one more time. The temptation to keep tabs on them, to look at who they're with, what they're posting, how easily they seem to be moving on. But that urge, that's your trauma begging for closure. That's the part of you still stuck in the hope that if you just try harder, they'll come back. But here's the truth: if someone can leave your life and feel fine doing it, let them, because that says everything about them and nothing about your worth. Someone who can ghost you, disrespect you, or walk away without a conversation is showing you who they are. And your job is not to change them. Your job is to believe them. Believe the distance. Believe the silence. Believe the energy shift. Believe your gut when it whispers, "This isn't right." Stop rewriting the story to protect your pain. Stop creating a fantasy in your head just because the reality was too painful to accept. You are not here to beg for love. You are not here to convince people of your value. You are not here to exhaust yourself trying to keep people who were never committed to staying. You are here to grow, to rise, to build, to become everything they couldn't see in you because they were too busy running from their own reflection. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are simply no longer available for relationships that require you to shrink in order to be accepted. So let them go. Let them miss you. Let them wonder. Let them feel the absence of your light. That's not your burden to carry. That's their lesson to learn. Meanwhile, you focus on you. You pour into yourself the love you gave away so freely. You show up for your dreams. You set boundaries. You learn what red flags actually mean something. You develop your strength, your voice, your resilience. You create a life so rich with purpose, peace, and passion that you stop wondering why they left and start feeling grateful they did, because now you have space. Space for people who match your energy. Space for relationships that feel safe, honest, and deeply fulfilling. Space to breathe without constantly editing yourself. Space to live without constantly proving yourself. And don't be surprised if one day they come back. Regret has a way of doing that. But when they do, you won't be the same. You'll be stronger, clearer, rooted in a life that doesn't depend on their presence. And that's the win. You're not meant to chase. You're not meant to beg. You're meant to walk in your truth and trust that the right people will meet you there. So let them go, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Gratitude that they made space. Gratitude that they showed you what you don't want. Gratitude that they walked away. Because now you get to walk home to yourself. And when you do, that's when the real transformation begins. That's when your healing turns into power. That's when you stop surviving and start living. There is something powerful that happens when you stop waiting. When you stop waiting for the apology, for the explanation, for the closure you think you need. Because let's be real, some people are never going to give you that. They're never going to own what they did. They're never going to acknowledge the pain they caused, the confusion they left behind, or the weight they dropped on your shoulders without a second thought. And the longer you wait for that, the more you postpone your healing. You do not need their apology to move on. You don't need their validation to know your worth. You don't need them to make it right in order for you to reclaim your peace, because healing isn't about them, it's about you. It's about taking your power back from the places where you've left it. And it starts the moment you decide that you're no longer going to give someone else control over your ability to heal. See, what keeps most people stuck isn't what happened. It's the hope that it will somehow be undone. That the people who hurt us will come back changed, that they'll see the damage and say the right words to make it better, that they'll finally acknowledge our pain and give us the closure we crave. But that fantasy is often what prolongs the pain. Because most people who hurt you deeply aren't equipped to help you heal. They're not self-aware. They're not evolved. They don't have the emotional tools. And if they did, they wouldn't have hurt you like that in the first place. So the moment you stop needing them to fix it, you become free. Free to choose your next step. Free to write a new chapter. Free to show up for yourself in the way they never did. Closure isn't about someone else making it right. It's about you deciding that you're done carrying the weight. It's about you saying, this ends with me. Not because it wasn't painful, not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more than the apology that will never come. That's hard to accept, I know. It means letting go of the fantasy. It means grieving the version of the relationship you believed in. It means sitting with the reality that the ending wasn't what you deserved, but in that honesty in that acceptance you find your power. You stop chasing answers from people who were never honest to begin with. You stop expecting accountability from people who are too disconnected to even see the harm they caused. You stop making your healing conditional on someone else's growth. And that's when the shift begins. You start realizing that your peace doesn't depend on someone else's remorse, that you can heal without the confession, that your closure isn't a conversation, it's a decision. It's a boundary. It's a deep exhale that says, I'm done reliving the story. I'm done giving energy to someone who took so much from me already. You begin to rebuild quietly, intentionally, with small, brave steps. You unfollow, you delete, you stop checking. You stop rehearsing the speech you'll never give. You stop hoping they'll wake up and see what they lost, because you already know your worth. You already know what they couldn't see. And if they couldn't see it, that's their loss, not yours. Healing is not linear. Some days you'll feel strong, unshakable. Other days you'll want to reach out. You'll want to ask why one more time. You'll want to believe they've changed, but don't mistake time for transformation. People don't change just because time passes. They change when they do the hard, uncomfortable inner work. And if they haven't done that, you're just reopening a wound that you've already started to close. So give yourself permission to move on without their apology. Give yourself permission to choose peace over understanding, to choose growth over closure, to choose yourself over someone who couldn't. You are not broken, you are not too much, you are not unworthy because someone couldn't see your value. That's a reflection of them, not you. What you are is resilient, capable, worthy of a love that doesn't require you to beg for clarity. The world is full of people who are emotionally unavailable, emotionally immature, or simply not ready to hold space for another person's heart. But the world is also full of people who are asterisk. People who are healing, self-aware, ready to communicate, ready to grow. You don't have to hold on to someone who hurt you just because you haven't found the right person yet. You don't have to romanticize the past just because the future still feels uncertain. Let go, for real this time. Not just in words, but in action. Block the number, journal the pain, talk it out with someone safe. Feel the grief, let it move through you, but don't wait. Don't sit in that space for one more second hoping they'll come around. The closure is *U*. The healing is *U*. The future is *U*. And trust me, nothing is more powerful than the moment you stop waiting and start walking forward with your head high, your heart healing, and your soul wide open to what's next.